I hope that everybody is enjoying the festival and taking advantage of all the great offerings that we're having so far. We wanted to localize this. I know this is an international festival and we were able to broadcast on the World Wide Web, which is a wonderful way to reach new audiences. Just a one-on-one interview with a local filmmaker as well as with our San Antonio Film Commission. So we're gonna bring first Dat Mayne DeeWayne on, and then hey, what's up?
How's everybody doing? Thank you for having me.
Who's a wonderful filmmaker here and also co-programmer with SayBiv. So he's been keeping extremely busy. And so we really appreciate this time. And we are going to bring in, there we go. I'm slow with this stuff. We're going to bring in Krystal Jones, who's the interim director of the City of San Antonio's Arts and Culture, which manages both the Film Commission, Public Arts, Music Commission, and Grants Management. So, Krystal, you are a busy lady.
I try to be. That's the only way to do it, right?
Yes, it is. So I'm going to let you all go and do your one-on-one discussion, and then I'll come back at the end and pick it up. And, just kind of update us on what's going on in SA, Alamo City. Okay, enjoy.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you, Ada, for introducing us. My name is Dat Mayne DeeWayne of Good Visuals Productions, based here in San Antonio, Texas. And I'm honored to be joined by Krystal Jones, who is the interim director of San Antonio City of Arts and Culture, and also manages the Film Commission. Welcome, Krystal. Did I get all that correct?
You did, yes. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm excited to be joining the festival.
No problem. Thank you. And thank you for all your hard work you do for the city of San Antonio and, the film industry and community that we have here. For newbies who have never connected with the SA Film Commission, can you tell us what the commission does, its mission and responsibilities?
Sure. So at the San Antonio Film Commission, I really like to say that we're an extension of your production team. We help make your production happen in San Antonio. That's from initial location scouting, finding the right places that make your film come to life. We also connect you with San Antonio cast and crew that can get the job done. And we also connect you with services that are provided within the city and perhaps outside of the city. That includes street closures, connection with hotels that can provide film-friendly rates, and also to catering services and craft services. And finally, we connect you with resources that go beyond San Antonio, whether you want to connect with the Texas Film Commission. And also we have a number of grant programs that we monitor that are not just managed by our department, but there's also, for San Antonio filmmakers in particular, we manage a grant program that can access $5,000 toward film projects. So we're just your connection points to say, you may have not thought about this, but let's think about this for your project.
And, opportunities for grants and things like that for local filmmakers is huge because, as we all know, having a budget goes a long way when making films. When San Antonio gets recognized 2 years in a row, like it recently did, as being a top 20 city to live and work, how does that impact the Film Commission here?
I'll tell you, the immediate impact is that our phones start ringing off the hook. We get many emails because that publication in particular is nationwide, especially read in places like Los Angeles, New York, Miami. And people see that and say, well, let's learn about San Antonio. So we've had a number of productions for HBO, for Netflix that have actually referenced the fact that they've seen us in Movie Maker magazine. Didn't think of San Antonio at first, but when they saw us on the list, thought, let's check that out. Let's see what they have to offer. So initially it brings that immediate response. As soon as that magazine hits newsstands, our phones start ringing. And then of course it adds to the cachet of San Antonio where people start to, may not initially pick up the phone the month that they receive the publication. But of course, a year later when they're working on their project, they think, wait, I think I heard something about San Antonio. So it's all about marketing our city to filmmakers. And that's really what that particular designation, as well as other designations we've received, does for us.
Yeah, that Movie Maker magazine is that exposure seems invaluable, and that's great that we've been recognized as a top 20 city to live and work. I mean, living here, we don't get to see it, but when a national magazine recognizes us like that, that's amazing. Can you tell us a little bit about SA Film under your leadership? Where you've taken it since you took over as film commissioner 4 years ago?
Sure, I came on board, and luckily for me, there was a strategic plan that was developed right before I came on board. Actually, the day I came on board, City Council voted unanimously to approve that strategic plan. And it was a strategic plan to make San Antonio one of the top film-friendly cities in the United States. And so as a part of that, there were strategies that really fell under three categories. The first category is marketing. Let's get the word out about our wonderful city, the locations we offer, our free film permits, and why San Antonio is that top movie making magazine. I'm sorry, top movie making city. I have magazines in the brain.
Right.
And the second opportunity is to develop our workforce. When these productions start to come because of our marketing, we need to have the workforce to support it. Qualified cast, crew, and also developing workshops that local filmmakers can attend to learn how to be a production assistant on a large production, how they can use cameras adequately or editing software, how they can take their script to the screen. And then finally, that third element is to see San Antonio on film at the end of the day, to be watching a movie and see, oh my gosh, there's my city on this film that's being seen nationally, or on this TV show. So those are the three-pronged goals. And really the marketing element is to bring that workforce and San Antonio on the screen to life.
And that's a feeling that, as a native San Antonian, when I see San Antonio on the big screen, whether it's Knight Rider 2 or an independent film, it brings pride out, and it lets you know that we do have a beautiful city. We do have locales and sites here that are worth it and worth people filming and putting on the big screen. I love that that when you came in, that they talked about that, and that y'all have strived to continue growing towards that. And as a filmmaker here, I really do appreciate it. So,
well, and I just have to say, I mean, I've watched your films, and I just have to say that I feel that way watching your films when I say there's that San Antonio Park that I know so well. And that's my city on this film. So I felt that way. And then with incoming productions, we had a production called The Challenger Disaster, which is about the Space Shuttle Challenger and the devastation. Every single part of that film, except for one shot, one 30-second shot, was filmed here in San Antonio. And so it is that sense of pride. And to see that Film San Antonio logo at the end of the credits, that means the world to see that.
Oh yeah, and I remember you was telling me about that film, and I actually went out and watched a piece of it. And if you wouldn't have told me, I would not have known that it was here in San Antonio. I never would have guessed. It was, this almost sounds like a backhanded compliment, but it was that good.
Well, and that's the thing. We can be San Antonio, we can be New York, we can be Florida, we can even be Los Angeles. I've seen some, films from Yaki Smith, for instance, has a film that he did where you're seeing these palm trees and you think it's in LA.
Yeah.
So we can be San Antonio, and we can be so much more. And I think that's what San Antonio really has going for it.
And speaking of Yaki, he's one of our hidden gems, or I wouldn't even really say hidden. He's one of our gems that have come from San Antonio that shows that, we have the talent here. And I think that that's something that speaks to, your efforts that you put forth, that we're starting to unearth a lot of these gems now. And there's a lot more happening in San Antonio than has ever happened before. And I grew up here and have always wanted to get into film. And when I was younger, personally, I didn't see as much that is happening now. And I could only imagine if I was younger and trying to, find my way in the film world. Now, there's a lot more opportunities than there was, even 10 years ago.
I will say that I think that the community needs to be credited significantly for that. I think it's all about community. And there is a will to make films here. And San Antonio is such a creative and passionate city. Yeah. And when you connect with others and you have that creativity flowing, you have that will, people find a way. And I do believe that was my intention coming into the Film Commission, was to say, these resources exist. We just need to let this community that already exists know about it, but then find ways to connect them through workshops or communicating, hey, you may not heard of this film festival or this workshop, you should go to it. Mm-hmm. And when you start to see films happening in your city, you start to say, well, I can do that too then.
Yes.
And so I think the community really needs to be credited. And I will say that, you can't talk about film these days, or you can't talk about anything without talking about the pandemic.
Right.
And I think that the pandemic really put people in a place to stay in their place for a number of weeks, right? To really think about what matters in life, mm-hmm. and what have I always wanted to do. And time is always short. And so why not do it now? And so we've seen an influx of filming happening in San Antonio, even during the pandemic, because mm-hmm. people just wanted to get out, be creative, and get it done.
And speaking of that, are there any mandate precautions in place now to shoot here?
In Texas, it's all managed by the governor's office. And right now we are open for business. We are open for filming. The only requirement that we do have, and it's per city buildings at the time of this filming here, you do have to have in city buildings, you have to wear masks. But honestly, many of the filming opportunities are happening outside of city facilities. They're happening at parks, the Riverwalk, at private locations. So we are open for business, and some people feel certain ways about that. Some people feel other ways. But the simple fact is we are seeing an influx of business from Los Angeles or places that have more restrictions, just because the demand for content is higher than ever. Mm-hmm. And if we're going to have that content, it needs to be filmed somewhere. And if your city is shut down, we are open.
Yeah.
So
come here.
Yes. And we have cast and crew that are COVID compliance officers. We have people that can advise the production on how to be safe, because we know that although filmmakers, they want to be super creative, they're also very, safe when it comes to these parameters. So, and we encourage that, and we're here to help with that as well.
And I can speak to that. Again, being a filmmaker here, I've been on some sets of other productions, and everybody has been very, even though that masks aren't mandated or things like that. I've seen the community still step up and be responsible on their sets and with their productions, and having a smaller crew, and people keeping their space and things like that. It's been a great effort that the whole city, that everybody that works here has put on for it. Mm-hmm. Can you speak to any new initiatives or programs of Film SA?
Sure. I mentioned the grant programs, and the Department of Arts and Culture very recently launched a new grant program. It's called the Individual Artist Grants. And this opened last spring for the first time, and we're going to be announcing the grant winners here in October. And it is for $5,000 grants for new projects. And filmmakers, multimedia artists are absolutely qualified and eligible to apply, as long as they are a City of San Antonio resident. And we have an entire marketing effort behind this, that once your project is done with one of our grants, we will help get the word out about screenings. We'll help you find locations for screenings. If you get accepted to film festivals, we'll help you market. It's just cohesive investment. It's saying that the city of San Antonio invests in this project, and that's why our community should invest in it. You should, as a community, we're investing in it, so go see this screening. Celebrate this film festival win. So that's one initiative that we've launched, and it will open again in spring of 2021.
And that's huge for something like that, and then the city to still, not just give the money and walk away, but have your back and continue to help you grow as a filmmaker, as an independent filmmaker. That's huge. I'm not familiar with other cities and what they do, but being here, that would be huge for an independent filmmaker to get that and have the backing of the city behind them. Now,
I will say, we've had a number of film commissions, a number of them actually, reach out to us to say, how do you all do this? Because they do not have grant programs like this. And part of it is staff resources, funding resources. But we have had a number of film commissions who do not typically do this, because I'm connected with the global film commission community. And I've asked, 20, 30 film commissions, do you all do any grants? And they do not. So we are leaders on that, especially because this particular individual artist grant, I do want to note that it provides priority points for persons of color, people who identify as LGBTQIA+, women, and veterans. So you automatically, if you identify with any of those categories, receive points off the front on the evaluation process in our strive to be an equitable city when it comes to grant policies. That's one thing in particular we're very proud of across the board, is our commitment to equity.
And I was going to ask about that, with the production directory database for experience, what about those seeking to get into the industry? What's available for them to what's available for them to get experience?
And so what we do when it comes to that, when we have people say, I don't know where to start, what I automatically do is I immediately say, here are the local film festivals that are happening here in San Antonio that have an international presence and can connect you to all of these wonderful artists around the world based right here in San Antonio. That is the very first thing I recommend to filmmakers who are looking to get into the industry. I'll even, suggest maybe some workshops that I know that are happening in the area. I also recommend just finding a community that's interested in, having you join them. I think our San Antonio community is always interested in mentoring others, especially when it comes to projects like our 48-hour film project that happens in San Antonio, that happens in city across the country. That's a place where you just go and you say, I want to join a team. I want to make a film, albeit in 48 hours. It's really brutal, but it gives you a little bit of that behind the scenes look at making films in a short period of time in a competition where it's not, you're not going on this incredibly professional set not knowing what you're doing. You're learning some of these ropes.
Right.
And then there's also communities like the San Antonio Film Society. They have workshops here in San Antonio. They have mixers, meet and greets, screenings. These are the places where, like I said, I always encourage people to just meet others, say, hey, how did you do this film? How can I get started? Because that's going to be your grassroots best experience, is just seeing how others do it and then making it work from there.
And I will say, on the 48-hour film festival, I will attest to how brutal it is. You don't sleep. You may get 4 hours of sleep that whole weekend if you're lucky. But I will also say that you can just walk in and just join a team. I was part of a team, but I met so many people there that were not, and they just, they joined the team while we were at the meeting place, and everybody's networking and sharing contact information. And it's a San Antonio, the creative, community is very open. And, like you say, helping people out and or showing them or pointing them in the direction of where they can go. I love that about San Antonio and the local feel we have here. You know, we're a large city, a very big city, but we still have that small town feel. And I think as we continue to grow, because I think we're on pace. I think we're number 7 largest city right now, and we're still expected to grow by another million plus in the next 2 to 3 years. I think some type of crazy number like that. You know, we're going to have a lot more opportunities coming forward. Who are some of the productions of late that have come to the city to shoot? And did they pick up any locals that you know of when they did?
I'll tell you one production that I'm really excited about that just happened was Danny Boyle. Oscar-winning Danny Boyle came here to do a Sex Pistols docuseries for Hulu on FX on Hulu.
Wow.
It was major. It was street closures in downtown San Antonio. It was 4 days notice on our side that they were coming. And like I said, that's where your film commission liaisons help you, because we just pick up the phone, call our streets department and say, we know you have a 30 days notice requirement, but let's get this done in 4 days this time. So that was a really huge production where it showed off our locations here in San Antonio. And they did pick up some crew when it came to location management, especially.
Mm-hmm.
And there were some extras that were picked up here in San Antonio. They were traveling all across Texas to make this docuseries, and they were in London prior to that. So that was something I was very excited about, because an Oscar award-winning director coming here is a big deal.
Yes, it is. And he chose to come here, so that's huge. I'm sorry, real quick, just to go back on the database a little bit. Because I was curious about if say, for example, he wanted to come down and choose, you know, a all-female crew or a all-black crew, or he wanted to work with, you know, a Hispanic crew. Is there places that in the database that will kind of show him where he can find, you know, minority?
That is an absolute point that we have been working on with our database, because we have had productions certainly who have done just that. They want all female producers. They want all female crew behind the scenes. And so currently when a production does search it, they're really looking by name. Mm-hmm. But we've noticed an uptick in this request. And so we're working on that update right now to our database to include you know, ethnicity, you know, LGBTQIA plus, female, just because of that exact request. We've had so far 2 productions come to us with that exact request, and 2 was certainly enough, because that was a snapping point to say, we got to have a way where you can search this.
Right.
It would be self-identification for sure, but it would be up on the person submitting to their database record. And the database, just for our viewers here, is located at filmsanantonio.com. If you are in the greater San Antonio metropolitan area and you have film experience, you go to that website, you click on production directory, and you can fill it out just like it's a resume. Mm-hmm. And because we're a city department, we can't recommend one crew over another crew member or cast member. When someone asks us to crew up, we send them that link. And so that is your profile for them to find you. So that's exactly a great point. And I'm glad you mentioned it, because that's one update that we are quickly working on in our department.
So everybody out there, all you filmmakers, make sure you go and get your information in there at the website so that they can come and find you and get you hired onto other gigs and other jobs, because they're providing this opportunity for us. And I don't know, like I said, I don't know about other cities, but the stuff that it sounds like that your team has put together for independent filmmakers is there to geared to help us move forward. And I personally really appreciate it. But your hands are full. How many people work with you in your department?
We have 20 staff positions in our entire department. The Film Commission currently, as it stands is one dedicated person and then myself to assist. We're working to get another staff position because COVID did impact our department. We are funded by the hotel occupancy tax, and without people staying in hotels during the pandemic, our funding was reduced. So we do have staff members that are still realigned with the Metro Health team working on the pandemic, and we're hoping to get them back this fall. So it has been one person who is dedicated to issuing film permits, and then myself to assist on these big calls that say, shut the street down in 4 days. So we are a very tiny and mighty team, but we are mission focused and we are here to help at all hours. Recently, I was out with a production, climbing a ladder over some weeds and, clapping my hands to try to get a pit bull from running at us. And, it was just all of these things that maybe, I always like to tout that we are the most customer-centric film commission, because even though we're not, there's not many of us, we love film, we love San Antonio, we love seeing our San Antonio filmmakers grow and succeed. So we're dedicated to getting the job done.
And how many other film commissioners are going to climb up on the ladder for you? Right?
Well, yeah.
Well, I thank you very much for joining us this evening. We touched on the website so people know where they can get more information about the Film Commission. The website is now there on the screen. So everybody out there, go ahead and go forward and get your information in there. It sounds like, the Film Commission is working hard for us, and, all the opportunity is there for us to take advantage of.
I do want to say one thing. At the website, you can always get back to the Department of Arts and Culture's website. But our Department of Arts and Culture's website, just for anybody who's interested in learning about what we do from the arts perspective, is sanantonio.gov/arts. And at the bottom of that page, there's a newsletter you can sign up for. And every week we send that newsletter out, and we include opportunities for local artists. And so whether it's a call for video submissions, whether it's a film festival call for entries, that's going out weekly. So I would really encourage anyone to visit that website, sign up for the newsletter. And it's our stuff that we run, and it's other things in the community and even nationwide. We want people to know that there's opportunities for them.
Greatness. Well, thank you, Krystal.
It's been great. This has been great. Thank you. I mean, one of the things that is so important is that you're here. The Film Commission is here for us, and I think that more filmmakers who are unfamiliar, not even filmmakers, potential crew, people that have skills, need to stay abreast of what's going on by following, getting signed up to the website and following you all and keeping involved. Okay, well, we thank you, Krystal, and thank you, Dat Mayne DeeWayne. We appreciate you both. All right, enjoy the rest of the festival, folks. We appreciate everyone. Have a good rest of the week.